Update, Ramon Laureano, he had right hip surgery today to repair a labrum, which obviously is devastating news for us. Most likely, out until at least the end of the season or the entire season. So tough news on that. And then Jeremiah Estrada, we're putting him on the IL. Right knee soreness, should be a quick, should be back relatively quick, but it was just bothering him pushing off the mound and felt like it's best to IL him and get David Morgan here to fill a spot.
For Jeremiah, when did that start bothering you?
Probably a few days ago, as much as a week, where you kind of noticed it, and then the last 3 or 4 outings it's just gotten a little bit worse. After his last outing, he didn't recover very well from it, and felt like it's just smart to take care of it now and get him back ready, in a few weeks.
So it was drive leg, right leg?
Yeah, right leg.
Right leg.
Right knee.
Right knee.
Soreness.
Do you get imaging coming for him, or just gonna kind of see where it goes?
No, not right now. I don't think it's to that point. All the manual testing have been fine, but it's just bugging him to the point where it's affecting, his ability to trust, really get after it down the mound.
What are the chances that he plays again?
I don't know. There's a chance. There's some guys have come back from this surgery quicker than it. I think the typical timeline is that 4 to 5 month range. Some guys have come back quicker. Some guys it takes longer. It's just one of those things. You got to see how he comes out of surgery, see how the first couple months of recovery go, and then go from there.
When he's going, he's always exactly a piece of what you guys are trying to do. What tough loss is this year?
Yeah, it's a big loss. It was a guy we were counting on a lot coming into the season, and a guy that we had batting leadoff for a while. He'd been in a little bit of funk lately. Maybe that's a reason for it, but unfortunate that he had to go have surgery and get this taken care of.
Craig, do you know how long you've been playing through it?
Yeah, so it's an injury that goes back to 2021, and he played through it then, got an injection. He just felt like the soreness was too much at this moment, and that another injection would just kick this can down the road, and he was eventually going to have to get it taken care of, and decided right now that he was going to get it taken care of.
Did he know it was? Is it torn? The leg?
Yeah.
Did he know it was torn before and just tried to?
Yeah, previous MRI, showed that. The same doctor that he saw here this last time, decided, he had told him to get surgery the last time too, and Ramon decided to get an injection this time. He chose surgery.
Had it gotten worse? At some point, was there a thing that made it worse for him?
There wasn't an actual one event, that made it worse. I think it was just kind of how he was playing here at the end. He was feeling it a lot more than he normally did, and it was affecting his performance.
How important is the flexibility we're now having? I don't know, just top on the mind, something like having Cheats can just move around, play left, and you've got the luxury of France at first. The importance to be covered depth-wise.
Yeah, it's huge. I think that's why we had those guys when we left spring training, is put those guys on the roster. We maybe didn't look, a lot of guys doing the same things, and now, the way it's shaking out, kind of how every Major League season shakes out, with guys have injuries that you're not expecting, and you have the ability to move people around and put them in good spots to, help the team win.
So Bowen and Taylor seem like they're a lot more important to this club moving forward. What did the conversation you had with them about just the fact they're probably going to be here for a little while?
Yeah, we talked about how they can impact our team. With what they're really good at, they bring a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism. They're going to bring some defensive versatility to our team. And we try to get the most out of them at the plate. But 2 guys that come in with great attitudes and a smile on their face and excitement and enthusiasm to be in the major leagues, which is something that some of us take for granted some days, and it's good to see that new wave of energy that, man, every day is like Christmas to them.
When you see a guy get his first hit, is that still something special for you to see it?
Oh, heck yeah. That's the best part of the job, I guess, from what I've felt so far, is when these guys have success, whether that's for the first time or for, in Manny's case, 300th time. It's always nice to see when these guys have success. I want to be their biggest fan. I also got to push them to be at their best. But along the way, I got to pat them on the back and show them how much we believe in them.
As long as Ty France keeps contributing offensively the way he has, could you see a scenario where he's at first base most days and Gavin would be in left field most days?
Yeah, I think the way the way the roster is right now, that's probably what it's going to be. Those 2 have been our 2 best hitters so far this year, and we got to keep those guys in the lineup.
Manny had said that the clubhouse was devastated by Castellanos being DFA'd, and then you add on the Laureano news likely for the season. How do you expect this team to respond, given all it's going through the struggles?
Yeah, it's always tough. Unfortunately, it's almost part of every major league season where those things happen, and you have players on the team that you get really close with and tight with, and then they leave for whatever, all different kinds of reasons, and you've got to move on and play the next day without them. We miss those guys just as much as we're excited to have the guys that are here. But the only thing that we can do is compete with the people that we have, love on them as much as possible, and have some fun.
Through his first 12 starts, his numbers have looked pretty good, Michael King, but he can be a little self-critical, and I think he'll say that he hasn't had feel for his pitches. How would you assess his season so far?
I think he's been just fine. He's competing every single time that he goes out on the mound. He's giving everything he's got. That's all I can ever ask for from him.
Do you think part of that, like you laugh when I say that he's a little self-critical, do you think part of that is what makes him a good competitor?
100%. He's never satisfied with where he's at. He could throw a 9 shutout, and he's like, oh, I didn't have a good enough sinker today, or whatever. He's that kind of guy. That's Michael. That's his attitude, and that is what makes him great.
Offensively, it's been a bit of a slog here to not have the slug. What's the offensive identity of this team?
Yeah, right now we're trying to find that, and I think new pieces on the roster that could change a little bit, but just based off who we have on the roster and what they've done in years past, these guys are tough outs, and as long as they continue to try to be tough outs throughout the rest of the year, we're going to be just fine.
What would you like that to be, the identity of this team?
I like them to be tough outs. I think what they are is who we want them to be. Sometimes you search for that silver bullet to change everything, and it's just the wrong way of doing it. I personally believe that the way to get through struggles is to double down on what you've always done, be great at what you're good at, be extraordinary at the ordinary. The boring stuff is what makes you great, and these guys have just been good at the boring stuff for a really long time.
Game planning, do you think that you guys have enough information, too much information, or not enough information as it goes? Manny was kind of talking about how all these metrics and things kind of got to get out of the game and just go back to something simple: see ball, hit ball. Can it be that simple, or do you need to have more of an idea or a game plan when you're playing 2026 Major League Baseball?
Yeah, all the above. I think everybody's different, and sometimes we get too wrapped up in all the statistics and the different numbers that are on the scoreboard, and I think even when you're struggling, you're looking at all those numbers on the scoreboard and trying to make them better. And I think if we can simplify things as best we can while using as much information as possible to put us in the best possible place to succeed, then we're in good shape. And I think we've done that so far. The results haven't shown that, but we're on the right track.
What's the latest for Campusano and Jake?
Campy has been in Arizona this last week, kind of ramping up some baseball activities, still, working his way back, and eventually here, hopefully in the next week or two, we'll hopefully see him in some rehab games. And Jake, same thing, still going through it a little bit, feeling a little bit better. There has been some positive, aspects of it here going of late. He's definitely feeling a lot better. Doesn't feel as foggy as he's been feeling, but slow process and one that just doesn't have a timeline.